guys, we're just going to jump into it because this one is only an hour long. So we've got some stuff to cover in this hour, and I'm sure that you have a busy life. Um, Today is about performing on-site consults, and I went against the regular slideshow, and I've just got a document here for you. Oh, I'm actually going to take this document and put the link in the chat for you guys. So on your end, if you want to use it as like a working copy, you'll just go up here. Show you. Can you guys see my screen? You'll just go up here to File, and you'll click Make a Copy. When you make yourself a copy, you can write all over it if you want. Give yourself notes, change the style, whatever you want. Okay. So I'm just going to use this document as my guide to keep me on track as we have this discussion. Let me see everyone in the meeting. There we go. All right, guys, there's the document for you. Enjoy. I always love it when I see, I just think that this logo here looks so nice on the top of the documents. I don't know. I love it. Okay, so when performing on-site consults, there really isn't a, like, it's not that complicated. It's honestly, in my opinion, all about confidence. When you meet the client, it's the confidence in your prices and your employees and your abilities that will really shine. I would say that 50% of the time they already know if they want to hire you before you get there. And the only reason that 50% of the time they don't know is if they're shopping around and they're looking for the lowest bidder. If they're looking for the lowest bidder and you have confidence in your pricing, two things can happen. You could talk them into understanding the value of your pricing by having the speech, right? I'm obligated to run a profitable business in order to keep my employees employed. Or you just do what you do and know that if this person doesn't like your prices, they're not a good fit for you. So once you get through all that, once you understand your pricing and you have confidence in your employees, and then you also, there it goes, have confidence in your skills, the rest is easy. So really, when you're prepping for the consultation, you might want to familiarize yourself with the client's initial inquiry and the specific requirements they mentioned. So it's really good to have whoever's answering the phone understand the questions that they need to ask. The who, what, where, when, why, the 5 W's. For each different project, it's going to be a different set of questions. For a house, my only two questions, the only thing I want to know about residential cleaning or move out cleaning is how many bedrooms and bathrooms. I really honestly only want to know how many bathrooms, but I ask about the bedrooms just to verify that they haven't got this house that they've added on to 1,000 times. So they've got 1 bathroom and 10 bedrooms. It's going to be a lot different than a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom clean. So the only reason I ask the bedrooms, honestly, is just to make sure that there isn't some kind of wonky additions going on. Less and less we're seeing that, more and more modern homes we're seeing in this area anyway. But every once in a while we do go to an old home that's been added on to 1,000 times. Like, I swear, 1,000 times. For post-construction, you're going to ask how many square feet it is. You don't really need to know much more than that. If it's a residential, I just might ask them 1 or 2 kitchens, because kitchens might slow you down. For a commercial property, it just depends. You've got the production rates for offices, banks, warehouses. It's all different, right? So you may ask what the square footage is, or, a really great question for office or warehouses, how many people work there on a shift? How many shifts are there and how many people work per shift? It's going to tell you how dirty the bathrooms will be. And what is the only other thing that I've forgotten? Vacation rental. Vacation rental is the same thing. I really just want to know how many bedrooms and bathrooms in order for me to be able to do a quick calculation in my mind about what I think it's going to cost to do the job or how long I think it will take. Because I like to just feel like I kind of understand the property before I get there. Another amazing thing you can do is just go on Google and do a street view. You can take a look at the property from the street view. I've been helping Wendy, who is this Freedom client, bid projects just by simply looking at the street view, you know, and understanding the client. So there was one project we were bidding. Actually, this one was an anomaly because it said that they said that it was a 1,600 square foot building, but something was bothering me about it, and I still don't know what caused me to go look at the street view. And when I looked at the street view, I realized this building's gigantic. It was a 16,000 square foot building. They left a zero off, and this was online bidding. So could you imagine underbidding by 15,000 square feet on a warehouse project? So warehouse post-construction cleaning, it's a lot of money, right? So if you go on Google, you're going to verify what hopefully you already have an idea about. And then if you offer different packages or services, you know, gather that information and make sure that you kind of have it handy in case it comes up in discussion at the um, at the consult. You really don't want to be fumbling on your words the way I am right now at the consult. So let me have a sip of water here. So introduction and building rapport, you know, it's don't try not to be too shy, you know. My advice to you is when you're going to these consults, try to think of the person as a friend or a family member, somebody that you've already met. Try not to be shy because when you're shy, it makes you not ask the important questions. And the more questions you ask, it's so strange. The more questions you ask, the more informed they feel you are. They're gonna, they're going to decide your expertise in this field by the questions you ask. And that's why it's important to know what questions to ask on a consult. You're not going to go to a doctor's office and ask how they clean their dental tools, right? It's just that simple. So do a quick Google search. In this day and age, it's so simple. Go to Chat GPT and say, what questions should I ask at a dentist for a cleaning business or for a cleaning consult? And then don't ask too many. We'll get to that in a minute, but don't ask too many. So it says to begin the consultation by introducing yourself and your team if somebody's with you, with a warm and friendly demeanor. These days, people are liking shaking hands again. I think people are excited to shake hands again. I notice that it's very rare now that I go to any meeting with anybody that there isn't handshaking again, which is actually really nice. I like it too. You're going to establish a positive atmosphere, smile, and your job is to make them feel comfortable. And for those of us, and many of you are in this group, people pleasers, or the type of, or servers, like servants. So it's like in a crisis situation for me, it is easier for me to focus on helping everybody else get through than to actually be able to sit and do the grieving or you know, picking up my own pieces. It's easier for me to help somebody else. So when a crisis happens, I'll be the one that's offering to help organize or drive people or cook because that's easy for me, right? Taking care of somebody else is where I'm comfortable. So when you go into these consults, if you're that kind of people person, you're shy, but you're a people pleaser, fall into the role of I'm going to take care of this person. I'm going to help them get through this. They couldn't get through this consult without me. I better make them feel at ease or they're just not going to be able to handle it. Those are the things I tell myself. The next thing that you're going to do is practice your active listening skills. This is the part when I was talking about, I was saying to you, don't ask too many questions. Does anybody here have an idea of what a great question would be to ask in the start of a consult? No? I'm going to start making you guys talk more. I'm going to have to, you know, I jump into it because I'm always afraid there won't be enough time, but I don't. Oh, good. Somebody's going to interact.
I was thinking, Because it always depends on how you phrase it, but you want to get to like the heart of like why, like what is going on, what isn't that they're, you know, uh, you
Mhm.
know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're
Words
actually
escape
saying,
me today.
hey, you're just like me. This is great. Now I don't have to feel insecure because I'm not the only one. Yeah, the idea is, like I always say, show me around and point out the areas of concern. Sarah, I saw that you unmuted yourself.
Who was your previous cleaner, or why are you reselecting?
Mhm. That's a really good one as well. You know, I find that they almost never want to tell me. I haven't very often gotten the answer from them about who the previous cleaner was, but once in a while, we were at one the other day and they told us the previous cleaner. No, actually, I'm wrong. It was at a condo association and they said, I don't know what their name is. So I'm wrong. I thought they were going to tell me because they were willing to share their budget. So I thought, oh, they're being open and honest. This is amazing. Yes, who the previous cleaner is. Do you often get the actual answer to that question?
In a roundabout way,
Mhm, mhm.
I won't like say specifically who, but they'll say like what they didn't do that they wanted to happen.
Yeah, yeah, and you get a sense of who they might be talking about.
Or the previous cleaner didn't meet up to their expectations.
Mhm. And that's generally the reason why they're hiring a new contractor, right? Not all cleaning businesses and customers are a good fit. And let me just be honest, when Sarah's answering the questions, I'm like, oh, I wonder if she went on one where we got fired, because we get fired sometimes. We're only as good as our worst employee, right? And so sometimes things go wrong and you just can't fix it. And so like I'm like, oh, how many have you gone to where they're talking about us? But I know a few cleaners in town where they all they have to do is tell me what the issues are, and I can almost always guess who the cleaner is. It's so funny because we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and you start to get used. So yeah, that's a really good one to ask. The most important thing is to be active listening. So you're going to allow the client to share their cleaning needs, preferences, and any specific areas of concern. And you're going to listen to their requirements, take notes to better understand their expectations. Now, when it comes to taking notes, I really prefer not to have a clipboard and a pen. I prefer to just record on my phone the consult. This way, I can go home, I can play the recording and work up the paperwork as I go. And I don't have to worry that I might have missed something. Um, I recently found out, I was looking into this. You can, in Canada, you can record any conversation as long as one person consents and you couldn't be the person consenting. So that's interesting. I was surprised about that. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't hurt to just say, hey, I've got my phone here. I've got an app on here that's going to record this consult so that I'll have all the information when I get back to the office and I'll be able to make a very accurate consult. I'll sometimes throw in so that I can give you my undivided attention. And they always say, yeah, no problem. Like I've never had anybody say, no, turn it off. So um, having that recording has saved me sometimes because you get so busy talking with the client that you're not hearing what they're saying sometimes. Then you get home, you're like, or you're like, "Oh, how many rooms was that? How many offices was it? I can't remember if it was 5 or 9, you know? You can listen to your recording, you'll be able to count because they'll say, oh, here's another office, here's another office. Oh, this is just another office. You know what I mean? So having the recording really helps, and it also helps you to be there in the moment with the client. It's really, really great when a client is talking, if you can nod and look them in the eye and let them know that they're the most important thing. Even though you need to be looking down to right to provide good service, it still leaves this feeling of disconnect. And what you really want is to connect with the client. And then next is the property assessment. So you're going to conduct a thorough assessment of the property's cleaning needs, take note of the property's size, layout, and factors that may affect the cleaning process. Um, Factors for vacation rental are things like look at the washer and dryer and see how old they are. Ask them if the washer has a quick wash cycle and if the dryer has an extreme heat cycle. 9 times out of 10, the sheets can be dried on an extreme heat or sanitizer. By the way, guys, anybody in vacation rental cleaning, if you're having troubles getting your sheets dry on time, try the sanitizing mode. It's extremely hot and it gets them done. So other things to take note, it's always going to depend on the project you're looking at, right? So in post-construction cleaning, what you want to take note of, honestly, is what's tidy the contractor was. Look for glue stuck to the floor and the fronts of counters. One time, we were in Vernon doing a post-construction clean on a big complex. Everything was going really well. And actually back then my brother was working with me. And there was a piece of glue stuck to our cupboard and he just wanted to pick the glue off and it wouldn't come off. So he decided that he would just scrape it with the razor blade. And he just took off all of the front, like plastic, like veneer or whatever it is. What is that? Melamine? Anyway, it's like that coating that they put on the cupboards, right? It's like a rubbery plastic. You think that this is wood, but it's not. He took the whole front of it off. It was $150 in damage for a tiny little. Don't do that because if you report that as a deficiency, it now becomes a contractor's issue, right? So think about things like that in the post-construction walkthrough. Watch for any damage on the floors and things like that, and also as you're going through. But I'll tell you this, if you get into a place where there's a lot of glue all over the place or grout is not properly cleaned up, it's going to be a hard clean. Contractors are either really neat or not neat at all. And the not neat at all ones, it'll take 30% longer to clean up after a messy contractor at least. So something to think about. For commercial, things that you would ask about and look for, where does the garbage go? Does the recycling get taken out? Especially if you see shredded paper, does the shredded paper go out to the dumpster or do they have somebody take it away for special handling? Commercial, other things you'll ask about, definitely things to think about are alarms and locks and hours of operations. And this is something that I really like to bring up here to let you know that it doesn't hurt to find out from them in the walkthrough what they're expecting. Like if they tell you that they have a cleaner coming in every Monday night at 5 p.m., but you happen to know they're closed on the weekend, you can ask them, do you mind if we come in after closing on Friday, but before opening on Monday? Like really find out the flexibility in the job right there in the consult. Don't try so hard to please them by just saying yes to everything they say. Let them know. Like when they say we have the cleaner come in on Wednesday, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really have anybody that could handle this Wednesday. I don't say I don't have anybody. I say, if we needed to, could we come in on the weekend instead? Or is there any other day of the week that we could come in if we had to? And then they'll say, oh yeah, you can come in any day of the week. This is just the day they come in. Now you can make it work to your schedule. You've already laid that foundation that if they hire you, you're going to put it into your schedule the way it works for you. So those types of things, do not be afraid to bring up. It just shows that you've got some prioritizing skills. You've got the ability to run a team. You're able to communicate well. You know, these are all important things that give a sense of who you are in the consult. So you're going to encourage the client to ask questions and address any concerns they may have about their cleaning service. And you already did that in the walkthrough. The one thing that I want to say about this is be really careful not to bash other cleaners. So there's a few reasons why. The number one reason why is that karma is a bag. right? First of all, we all live where you're talking about people who live in your community. And that's number one. Like you should be kind to the people who live in your community, whether they have as many skills as you or not. Then the second thing is, what if someday you need to team up with another cleaner in your area? If you've been bashing the cleaners just to try to make clients want to work with you more, and then someday you need to work with them, you'd be feel kind of insecure about asking them to join you or to help you if you've been bashing them all over town, right? It also makes networking events kind of weird. If you have another cleaner, if you have a cleaner in your area that you've been bashing and you run into each other in networking events, even if nobody is telling them that you've been, talking behind their back, you're still going to have this like, oh, I wonder if she knows. Oh, gee, I, if you don't do it, you're never going to regret it. Also, kindness for others, right? Because everybody has something going on. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that kind of kindness will show to the potential client. They want to know too, right? Like sometimes it could be a trap if they say, "Yeah, the last cleaner I had was just absolutely terrible. They did this, that, and the other," and you say, "Yeah, well, that's just I've heard about them. They are just unbelievable. They're just no good," and that might be their way of seeing if you're a gossip or if you're a professional business person. And a professional business person says something like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. There must have been some obstacles that created this issue for that cleaner. And I wanted to let you know that we actually have systems and processes in place to help us overcome that very obstacle. And now that I know that it's a problem for you and that it's something that you're really sensitive to, I'll make sure that our teams are going the extra mile and make sure it doesn't happen again. So you've assured them that you're the better cleaner without bashing the other cleaner, right? Or that you're the better business person or that you have better procedures or systems. So careful of that. Um, and then you're going to provide clear and detailed answers to alleviate any doubts they may have. So when they're saying, I'm really worried. I cringe every time somebody cleans that lamp because that was my grandmother's lamp. You can come back with, all right, I will definitely put that in the notes and I'll make sure that everybody on my team is aware that they should be very careful with that lamp. Is there anything else we should do? Do you think the lamp should be put away when we come to clean or blah, 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 right? Like get a hold of those problems immediately, let them know that you'll work with them to solve the problem. So that is pretty much my quick analysis for how to do a walkthrough. But there is so much more to it that you probably are wondering about. So I would like to just go around the room and I would like to just ask you, when it comes to on-site consults, what's the thing you fear most? Because we all have fears, including me. I still have fears about on-site consults. So let me start with Sarah. What is your biggest fear when it comes to on-site consults?
When they ask for a price on, like, how much is it going to cost when I'm standing face to face without having gone home to think about it?
I love that. Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you for sharing that. That's, I think, the biggest fear of all of us. That's an easy one to overcome. I never ever give a price in the consult. I say, I do have kind of an idea, but I really wouldn't feel comfortable saying yet. I need to go back to my office. I need to put the numbers into the program. I always say that. And I love it because if I say that I'm putting numbers into a program, they're not going to expect to be able to kind of like pressure me to lower my rates. If they think that it's this magical program that tells me the numbers, the program is my calculator and the computer with my fingertips. But I do say I've got to go back to the office, put the numbers into the program, and then see what I can do about that. Why? Is there a budget in mind? Do you have a budget in mind? What would be too high for you? So turn it around on them. Takes a little getting used to. to turn that conversation around. I know Peter still sometimes feels kind of awkward about it, so. But you can, when they ask you what your price is, this is a perfect time to find out their budget. If they asked you, you can ask them.
Yeah.
Do you think that would help a little, or?
Totally, yeah.
That's great. Somebody left there like, oh no, she's coming to me. I don't want to talk to her. Uh, let's go to, I see Danielle stopped. So whenever she's driving, I like to get her when she stops.
Oh, I'm here. Oop, shoot. I didn't realize my video was on.
Oh, well, I don't think I didn't see you giving anybody the finger or anything like that. So I think you're safe.
Oh, I'm just sitting. I'm waiting for my son to come down from school.
Mhm.
I think so. Like, I have a big fear with people asking me on the spot or with not sounding confident or sure of myself. Like, that's because even sometimes when I am confident and sure of myself, I still stumble over my words when meeting new people and in new environments. So it's funny because I'm such a people person and I'm very social, but I'm really observant when I first meet people. So I tend to be like, I want to check everything out, feel everything out. And so breaking through that little bit of a barrier of like meeting with people, like texting and then meeting, it is just a little bit of a barrier for me. And then I think my other maybe less realistic fear is that maybe I'm not going to walk out of the house. Maybe I watch too much true crime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Like it's been so long since I've done consults and especially in-home consults that I forgot about that. But I do remember that when I was leaving to go to a consult, and sometimes in the very beginning, I go at like 6, 7 at night in the winter. It's dark out and yeah, I forgot about that. But the thing that I wanted to say is, first of all, I still get the jitters before any consult. I still get them. And I think it's natural because I think we know we're being judged. We're going there to proclaim that we are the best person for them. Do you imagine, like, for those of you, well, we've all, if we're not married, I'm married. If you're not married, think about a guy that you dated once, and can you imagine if you just walked up to him and said, "Hey, I know that you need a date and I want to be your date. I'm the best person for the role, and so when can we get started?" Like that would be just so like unnerving, wouldn't it? So you always have, I think, does anybody here never not have the jitters when you go on a consult? Is there anybody that feels
I
okay?
don't have jitters about the consult themselves. My whole jitter, like I get anxious about being late but then being too early. Like I'm always looking for the sweet spot, but then I always feel like if I'm not, when I try for that is when I'm going to be late, and then it just throws me off. Now I'm late. Now I think that, oh, it's so unprofessional. Like I start really like to get into my own head and I can't let it go.
It's yeah, so you still get the jitters. You're still like worried about like judgment for being too late or being too early. You know? In the end, we're all going to find a reason to be worried because of uncertainty, and uncertainty creates an emotion that is actually a healthy emotion, right? It's a healthy emotion in small doses. It's not a healthy emotion if you start to have heart palpitations and you're frozen. Like I did have a client one time who called me and said, I can't get out of the car. He he had gotten a huge opportunity at a large warehouse and he told me he didn't want to go right from the start. He said, it's just me and my wife. This job is way too big. We're never going to be able to handle it, so I'm not going. And I said, I understand that, but would you go anyway? Like getting invited to such a great opportunity is like a great opportunity. Couldn't you just go and do the walkthrough knowing you're not going to get it because you can't possibly do it and just learn about it so that you can learn how you can start preparing yourself for it? he said, yeah, okay. So he said, I'll do it. And so he called me. He said, I'm sitting here. He said, literally, my hands are on the steering wheel. I can't let go. This is a huge building. It's all full of all this beautiful glass. He said, I'm out of my league. And I just said to him, all you have to remember is that the person inside needs a cleaner, and you are a cleaner. That's all that matters. They need a cleaner, and you want to clean for them. It's a business transaction. There's nothing to worry about. So he did. He got out of his vehicle, went into the consult, got the job, hired 20 employees, started 3 weeks later, and is now a millionaire. So yeah, all you have to do is understand that that person, or sorry, I skipped over a part there where I like to tell people, always remember that the person you're meeting is just as nervous to meet you. Even if they are cool, calm, and collected, and they seem to like nothing bothers them, somewhere inside they are insecure about meeting you because you are also the unknown to them. So this is what changed my life because I used to be so shy. I could not speak above a whisper. And if I met somebody new, I would like do anything I could to not ever have to shake their hand. I keep my hands like clasped in front of me or stand back. I'd always like to hide behind somebody if I could. That was my favorite place to be, was behind someone else. And going and doing a consult would be absolutely, I would have never done that 35 years ago. When I found out that every human being is always nervous when they meet a new human being, no matter how cool, calm, and collected they seem, there's still a little tiny little sliver of fear in them. I decided to turn that into, it is my job to make them feel comfortable. And as soon as I turned it into my job to make everybody else feel comfortable, I came out of my shell. That's when I stopped whispering and people started wishing I would. So that's a great fear. And thank you, Aisha, for letting us know that it doesn't always come in the same form, right? It's anxiety about being late or early. There's still something in you that's saying, "Ooh, this is uncomfortable." So well, Aisha, let's get your biggest fear.
Sorry, my biggest fear is that, sorry, in what context? In the,
Going to a consult, doing an onsite.
it is just being late. It really is. Because I
Yeah.
really can just sit there and talk, or just let the person talk and just kind of ask questions. I've been in customer service for like 900 years. So I'm just used to just talking to people. Plus, I can't usually shut up. So it all works.
So when you say being late, is it being late for the consult or leaving the consult late? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I did something. It's being late for the consult.
Yeah.
And
I think that's my biggest fear too, being late. And there are some things you can't do anything about, the traffic or an accident on the highway or something. But other than that, I just feel like there's no excuse to be late. You said, or being too early. My favorite sweet spot is to be there 3 minutes early. How about you?
I got to be there like 10 minutes
10 minutes?
early, just so like, for make sure that I have parking or whatever. It also, I have the same anxiety for my whole entire life. Like when I know that I have to be at a place, even if it's work and I work from home, it's like, oh my God, I gotta, like, I have this, it's just a weird anxiety. But then again, my mom's late to everything. So it's probably part of that.
Probably why my dad was too. It was brutal. Sometimes I thought that he just sabotaged things just so we could be late. He was a mechanic and we were always broken down on the side of the road. It's like, are you doing this on purpose? The 3 minutes, what I meant by that is standing in their office waiting for them 3 minutes before the actual. So you said I like to be there 10 minutes for parking. I would have probably been there about 10 minutes early for parking as well. And then 3 minutes inside the building, 3 minutes. I won't open the door and go in before 3 minutes ahead of our. I don't know, like if I don't know what the standard is. I think as long as you're not late, it doesn't matter. But that's what I do. Let's see who's here. Misha.
I think for me is it's probably a lack of confidence in I don't know. I know I can do the work, but sometimes like I think it's the way that I portray myself, or like I wonder if the person feels that I'm competent or confident enough to do the job. And so,
Is
anyways,
that yeah. Is that because like how you've been in you've cleaned for a few years, right?
not like professionally, but I don't. I think it's just part of my personality. So,
Well,
um, I
yeah.
I think I downplay myself a lot, and so I think it's just a personality trait
Mhm. Yeah,
because my husband gets on me too. You need to show it. I'm like, well, I know I can do it, but like, anyways, like,
yeah. Well, you know what I get from you is that you're my feelings about you or my instincts are that you're a person of a high moral code and that you don't like to stretch the truth.
no,
And
not at all.
so, right. And so you would feel like when you come into a consult and they're saying how many years of experience, I bet that your brain does this like, what do I say? What do I say? Because I've cleaned my whole life, obviously. Whenever the first time that you swept off the front doorstep for your mom, you started
Hmm.
cleaning.
Yep.
But professionally, you haven't been cleaning that long.
No.
But I found this secret spot to be just to say I was a solo cleaner for this many years, and I decided to take my business to the next level and offer professional service a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it is for you. For you, I think you're going on a year now, right?
About a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just say I was a solo cleaner for this long. You're not lying. And even when you were 5 years old and you were sweeping the front step, you were a solo cleaner. Somebody was there holding the broom with you. So, I mean, I don't know if I would stretch it that far, but
No, that's going a little far, but like I think I'm still new to everything, so it's just I think once I haven't done a lot of consults, to be completely honest, and so like I think I just need the experience, and I don't mind talking to people or like serving people and stuff like that, but like sometimes like
Mhm.
am I portraying myself in a way that,
Mhm.
shows them that I can do it. But
I wanted to
anyway.
ask you, and I hope you don't mind, but I did notice in some of the groups that you had a couple of consults, or you were asking about some pricing. Did you get
Yeah,
some?
it's kind of a weird situation because it's a lady I met over Facebook. She has a business right in my town.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, it's just kind of been back and forth on Facebook. I'm befriending her, and she's on Facebook a lot. She
Mhm.
owns a salon and she has a farm and a lot of stuff going on. She has 5 kids. And so I can relate to her in several
Yeah,
ways. I think
that's
that's
great.
kind of what connected us and stuff. And so, yeah, she's always writing all sorts of stories on Facebook. I'm like, for me, it's a
Like,
little much, but a lot of drama.
yeah.
So, anyways, I saw her a couple days ago. Well, she had offered to help me a little bit, and so it's just like, I don't know, those kind of things are kind of weird because, like, yeah, I want help, but the person isn't really like jumping in.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I don't really know her, and so I'm like, so anyways, we met again the other day, and I was like, we started talking about business and stuff, and
Mhm.
then she said, "Oh yeah, I want my salon cleaned and all that." We didn't talk, and she also said something about her house, but she also had a cleaner that was doing her house. And so, anyways, we went into this big tangent about how she thought she had lice in her house and all this kind of stuff. And this is a lady that owns a hair salon, so I'm like, you
How
don't
do
know
you?
what you don't know what lice are? Like,
Or how to
Anyway,
deal with it?
I thought it was hilarious. But
Mhm.
anyway, so she said that she wanted me to clean, but I didn't hear from her for a little bit. And so I was like, okay, let me just get a hold of her again. And I was like, are you still interested? Because I definitely am, blah, blah, blah. And so she said, oh, yeah. And so we hadn't talked about the details of how many times per month or whatever. And
Mhm.
so I thought it was more frequently that she needed one, that I would be, I don't know if I'm the main cleaner or not the main cleaner. I don't know. She
Yeah.
didn't make it super quick. And so, anyways, I contacted her and she said, oh, yeah, just once a month and the place is super clean. I've heard that many times where people,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, the place is so
I raised my eyebrows. Oh yeah, it's a salon.
like, oh yeah, just because you're a neat person, every house gets dusty and dirty and stuff. It doesn't mean you're like a dirty person or anything like that. Like you can walk into a mansion and yeah, you start cleaning and it's gonna be dusty.
Mhm.
And so, anyways, I've heard that many times, and I kind of rate off of that, and then I usually end up regretting it.
Mhm.
And so she didn't really want a consult or anything. She just wanted to do it over messenger or whatever. So I asked her how big the place was, blah blah blah, and she how many times, and it was back and forth a little bit. And
Mhm.
then she's like, "Oh, I just want once a month. The place is clean." And so, I think she was expecting me to say like $100 or something like that. So
Mhm.
I said, "Well, I didn't really know because I haven't cleaned the place. I don't know how long it's gonna take. It's a really nice salon. I've seen many pictures. It's
Mhm.
beautiful." And so I was like, "Well, I'll give you an estimate. I guess I'll say between. I calculated it might take 3 to 4 hours. I don't know. And so give or take. And
Mhm.
so I told her, oh well, how about the range between 250 and 300? I don't know for sure.
Mhm.
And so after that, I went stone cold. So
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
I started doubting myself. I'm like, did I overestimate? I think I did slightly, but having not cleaned the place, I didn't know. So it's an estimate, keyword estimate.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
like,
people
have
take
I asked way too much or what's happening? And
well.
so, anyways, and also that was kind of a test too to see do people actually answer questions on here? And
Yeah,
then I thought it
they
was so
do. They will.
hilarious. It was you that answered.
I was like, well, I answered first, and I was like, oh, I know her. I should have let somebody else answer because I
It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. I was like, that's hilarious.
sorry about that.
I didn't
Yeah,
know you were in the group. I wasn't trying to hide or anything, but I was like, oh,
oh
I didn't know
no.
she was in this group.
Yeah,
So
well, sometimes too,
really funny.
sometimes my assistants are in those groups using my Facebook answering questions.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
sometimes you guys think you're talking to me. No, usually not in Messenger. If you're a current client and you're talking to me in Messenger, my team will say so and so is talking to you. But actually, multiple team members are in my Facebook account.
yeah, okay, okay.
So just
So
so you
yeah,
know.
I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh.
Mhm. Yeah, that was funny. So I just wanted to say about that salon. Um, the thing is that I think that your hourly rate is around 50 or 60 an hour, right?
Yeah, I want to do about 50. Yeah.
Mhm. And you said 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, give or take.
Mhm.
So like I said, I've never cleaned the place. I've never actually been inside the salon. I've seen pictures
Yeah.
and stuff.
So,
So I was
so
like,
my
okay.
so
And I
my
tend to be a little on the slow side too. And so
yeah.
anyways, yeah.
Well, you have to, there's a few things. So you've got to think about it as the average amount of time it would take any cleaner to do it.
Hmm.
I would say that your 3 to 4 hour assessment, based on what I remember seeing in the group, would be probably about right. I would say 4 hours. But you really need to start to feel comfortable with your rate because you said 3 to 4 hours. That's okay. But
Hmm.
then you said 250 to 300 when your rate is 50, four
Yeah,
hours.
I overdid it a little bit. I was like, I didn't really calculate that very well, did I? So, anyways,
That's because you were not confident. So
yeah,
you weren't willing to commit to your price. And that's what caused you to say, well, maybe 3 or 4 hours, maybe 250, 300. And so what she heard was, eh,
oh, I didn't tell her how many hours. I just threw in the numbers
oh,
and that's it.
oh,
Like,
okay. Well, that's
yeah,
better.
I didn't tell her because in my mind I was like, well, I really don't know I haven't been to her place, so I really don't know for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, if I go there, it takes me 2 hours. Obviously, I'm not going to charge her that much. But anyways,
Well, you should. You should come, you should come up for a commercial property. You should always come up with the amount it will cost to clean it. And
mhm.
if you get it done 15, 20 minutes early, then that sort of goes into the bank, right? So the next time that you're there, if it's a little dirtier, you don't feel like tempted to just leave it because you don't make enough money on this project. Or if you see something, if you've overbid just slightly and the client's okay with it and you want to feel good about it, then you can offer extra services. Like if you see plants, you can dust the plant leaves, even though it's not a part of your service. Like we had a client just message us and say, hey, I need you to come take the paint off of the window because they had Christmas murals on the window. She
Mhm.
said, how much is it going to cost me? Well, this client, um, we had uh, we had given her a monthly rate based on coming every 2 weeks, but she only has us in once every 3 weeks. So she's paying for 2 cleanings, but only taking one, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing about just once a month. It's like you're basically starting over every time. So it's just like
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, am I gonna go in there one time and there's hair everywhere, and one time it's clean? According to her, it's clean. But
Well, I
anyways, yeah.
want I want you to know that in your program, in the master plan program, you can message me anytime for help with consults. So you don't feel bad about it, don't feel guilty. And if we need to get on a Zoom, we will just to go through it so that you can feel more confident.
Okay.
So we've just got a few minutes left. So I just wanted to see what Wendy's biggest fear is.
What's my biggest fear? That they ask me questions that I cannot answer because I don't know the answers. Because I don't have that much experience in commercial cleaning. And there is a lot things that I know I need to learn.
Mhm.
So that's not my biggest fear because it's like I know I can learn those things, but if they ask me what type of products can you use the floor because and then I don't know the answer, it's like oh god. So
You
yes,
know, yeah. So, you know, one thing I remember going through this too. And what I used to just say is, you know, I would really like to talk to my supplier. My supplier helps me choose the right products for every single property. So what I'll be doing is when I get back to my office, I'm going to give my supplier a call. I'm going to talk to him about your floors, and we'll make sure that we come up with a really great plan. That's what I did, or whatever it is, right?
last time that happened something like that to me, I win it. I said, oh, I need to talk to my expert, but let me come back
Good.
to you. But I was sweating because I did not know what to say, and yeah.
Like
But
the time that I won a stripping and waxing of a grocery store, they said, "Have you ever stripped and waxed floors?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Okay, it's yours." Yeah, I was in my 20s with my mother-in-law at her business. She actually did the job. She just pointed and told me what to do, right? I I was just like, "Oh no, what do I do?" Google. My first strip and wax job was done purely from Google.
I have
Step by
never
step.
done something like that. So, and there might be an opportunity for that in sometime soon. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, now what we do is we have our new employees take a floor cleaning and maintenance course online. But back then it was just me and I had undercharged the job already and I just really wanted the extra income. So I just said yes and I did it and it turned out really great. But of course I wouldn't tell any of my employees use Google and strip and wax that floor. But me as the owner, of course I cared about it, right?
Yeah.
But if you let them know that you're going to speak to your expert, as you said, that lets them know that you have a resource and that you're willing to use it, that you're not so stubborn that you're going to risk ruining their property because you think you know all the answers. So it's actually a really great answer, even if you know the answer. I have a
But I said that, but I'm sweating at the same
I
time.
know, because
Oh
you're like,
no. Kind of like they can see to me that I don't know much. But
you're like, oh yeah, I know you're not telling the whole truth, are you? I guess
Yeah.
you're never going to be able to live a life of crime. Hey, Wendy,
No.
I can see you on the Dateline episode with the sweat just rolling off your face. I'm like, ah, she's guilty.
Yes, totally. So yes, but that definitely that's my bigger fear. And then yes, it's I get it with time and being more confident and feel better in regards to talking to people and strangers.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm kind of like okay, but the questions, yes, if I'm feared that they ask me questions that I will know the answer, and then that I will see so unprofessional. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's definitely my fear.
I think that it's less like I think it's more unprofessional if you say you know something when you don't than it is to say I'll ask somebody. You know, I think that's the right thing to do. I'm not too proud. Like I would going back, I wouldn't have done that thing with the strip and wax, but it was something I did out of naivety, right? And it turned out all right, but it could have cost me a lot of money. It really could have.
Yes, but I still need to learn how to do those things. So yes, it's just yeah, I need to learn. I need to learn more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're in the right place. Together we will learn, right? Like, yeah, together we will learn. Well, I have exactly 0 minutes until my next meeting. And so I'm going to have to wrap it up, but thank you all for being here. I believe the next call is going to be a proposal writing, so that will be a good one. I'll give you guys the templates for the proposals, and we'll go through one. I did a couple of really nice ones recently that I was just like, oh, this looks so nice. So I'll show you guys. But until then, tomorrow's the mastermind at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. No, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 12 Eastern Standard Time. I'm starting to catch up. So I will see you if you can be there. And if not, I'll see you as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.